What's up gamers, Dreamcastguy here, and it's Top 10 Thursday. We're just about a week away from 2018 and already that year looks so intense. We're getting so many good releases, from giant cowboy adventures to cool open world experiences. So today, I really want to check out the best of the best. Before we start though, I do want to set one rule. We're only going to be talking about the games that are definitely coming out in 2018, so I can't really mention stuff like Death Stranding or Last of Us 2 because that'd be cheating. Now that we got that out of the way, these are my picks of the top 10 most hyped games of 2018. Number 10. Metro Exodus. This series is genuinely some of my favorite shooters ever because they managed to create a world that's so gritty and realistic. Our hero is a man stuck in the Russian wasteland decades after a nuclear blast has wiped out all the cities at the surface. Those who managed to outlive this tragic event have learned that anything is worth doing as long as it means you wake up tomorrow. However, the battle to make it through the night can often require homemade guns, fighting mutant monsters, and worst of all, visiting the lands above. Without spoiling anything, the previous Metro title had an explosive ending, so I'm very curious to see what direction they take this new tale of panicked survival. Number 9. Code Vein. If I could only choose 3 words to describe why I'm so excited for this project, I'd say anime Dark Souls. Looking at the gameplay, I think that's a pretty fair summary of why this seems fun. From the interviews I've read, it appears that we're going to get to make our own custom character, a vampire who's apparently got super strength and a need to constantly consume more demonic blood to stay sane. The director has stated that he wants Code Vein to be filled with tense one-on-one matches like you're seeing here, but also mix in faster moments so it feels a little bit more like Devil May Cry. It's hard to say how close this will be to the final product, and yet, from what I've seen so far, I am extremely ready to test it for myself. Number 8. Marvel's Spider-Man. Swinging through the streets, punching baddies, and doing homework, all while making silly jokes is what makes Spider-Man one of the best Marvel people to see in action. This is something that's been captured well in some of his older games, but honestly, it's been too long since we've seen this hero done right. There are 2 big reasons as to why I have such high hopes for this project. First of all, the team over at Insomniac are the masters of blending humor and great combat, and have proven that in titles like Ratchet & Clank and Sunset Overdrive. The other part is that I love in the trailers we're seeing that this is a deeper look into the Spider-Man universe. We're seeing a more obscure, weird enemy, and it's opening up a lot of possibilities to what could make this game truly special. Number 7. Anthem. You know what I just realized? Why don't we get mech games anymore? I used to enjoy the ability to climb into a robo-suit and blow up some creatures, but it seems like this is a trend that's died out in recent years. Thankfully, Anthem is bringing it back with some major flair. Currently, there isn't much known about this game other than the fact that it takes place in a land that's almost entirely overrun by giant aliens that really like eating people. The only soldiers well equipped enough to push them back is this mechanized group called the Javelins. So far we've only seen a few minutes of actual gameplay, but it's already enough to really stoke the fires of curiosity. What is this place? How did mankind fall so fast? And most importantly, can we still recover from this global takeover? Number 6. Shenmue 3. Oh, come on, I had to put this on the list. My name is freaking Dreamcastguy, so I'm basically legally required to be hyped out of my mind for Shenmue 3. In case you've never played these classic RPGs, they follow a young man named Ryo, who comes home one day to find his father being murdered by a mysterious person named Lan Di. This kicks off a journey to find out where he came from, why your dad was worth killing, and to finally defeat Lan Di himself. I'll be totally honest here, the visuals and animations of Shenmue 3 can look pretty bad right now, and yet I'm willing to deal with that just to get a conclusion to this story. I've waited almost 20 years to discover if Ryo will actually have the strength to crush this villain, and no matter how weird the faces look in the trailers, I'm still just so excited that it's even real. Number 5. Dragon Ball FighterZ, or maybe it said Dragon Ball FighterZ. There's been a long, complicated history to games based on DBZ, but overall, there have been at least a few fun experiences. I think part of the appeal of basing a project in this universe is the endless amounts of epic battles you can see go down, and FighterZ looks to be capitalizing on that in a huge way. As someone who grew up watching each and every episode of the show after school, I'm shocked at how closely they're sticking to the source material. Super moves, combos, and even minor attacks look like they were ripped straight from the anime itself, and that's a feat that's spectacular to see. On top of that though, what's really important is the fact that there's just so much blindingly fast action, and it's so complex. So many of the moves clearly have some expert timing hidden within them, which means that every character you learn is going to open up even more chances to master new fighters later. I cannot wait to really get a chance to sit down with this brutal brawler. Number 4. God of War. In the past, I've admitted that I'm not the biggest fan of God of War. The franchise is interesting and I like the cutscenes, but Kratos himself never really drew me in. His struggle is so ridiculous that I couldn't really feel anything for it. However, this newest entry appears to be taking on our hero in a different light. This is an older warrior, and one who's paid for the crimes of his bloody vengeful days. Now he's stumbled into a world of new monsters, fresh magic, and dangerous foes, and a cause that's actually worth fighting for: his son. This feels like it would be a much more personal chapter in the God of War saga, and that's what has me invested. Kratos is most fascinating when we see him in pain or watch him get scared, putting himself at risk for someone else. This could be the game that at last opens my eyes to the glory of the God of War series. Number 3. A Way Out. So many stories unfortunately stick to old cliches like good guys and bad guys, when in real life situations aren't so simple. You can find yourself being the hero or the villain on a random day and end up being in prison even if you tried to do the right thing. As of the writing of this video, we don't know much about the characters of A Way Out, but we can tell that they're very realistic men desperate to find freedom. After spending years in jail, they come up with a plan to work together to escape, but there's a big added element to this that we have to keep in mind. The entire game is split-screen co-op. This means that you'll be able to watch your partner's back, time your movements, and check that no one is messing up the plan. What really interests me about this though is that it isn't just pure sneaking or action. There are actually long scenes with a lot of talking that just shows these dudes trying to live their lives. It's almost as if we're witnessing an interactive movie from two very different perspectives at once, so I'm very intrigued as to how the final game will play. Number 2. Red Dead Redemption 2. If I had to name a single studio that I think has the strongest track record of amazing titles, I would easily select Rockstar. From Grand Theft Auto to Manhunt and even some of the more off-the-wall games like Bully, they are known for building unique, open-world experiences. Something I never thought I'd fall in love with is the Red Dead series. I'm not really into westerns and cowboys are kind of a lame concept, but the writing and gameplay was so perfect I was instantly sucked in. After waiting what feels like forever, we're at last getting another sequel to this gunslinging madness, but this one is really bringing in some fresh ideas. The largest aspect being that we are now going to possibly get multiple heroes at once, and this will make it where we can switch during missions to handle every situation in a variety of styles. That alone is cool, but I'm also very eager to see what they do with the online. The multiplayer of GTA has grown and expanded to such crazy levels recently, and now I hope they do the same here. A massive open world set in the Wild West to explore with our friends is something that would be absolutely legendary. Number 1. Detroit Become Human. There's a good chance you've never heard anyone talk about this guy, David Cage, but I think he's an important name to know about. He's a director that's made some video games that are usually kind of controversial. Not because of the themes, but because they're so strange. He creates projects that are almost a series of QuickTime events with random action scenes thrown in. You'll see people trying to investigate a crime scene, question a witness, and then drive down the street in a shootout. But all along, you're basically just trying to move around through through pressing a series of hotkeys. It's a peculiar method of gameplay, but for the story, it actually kind of fits. A lot of times you're playing characters that are very rigid and cut off from their own world, so having this almost puppeteer feel to it makes sense. For his newest title, Detroit, it seems like he's taking these bizarre themes one step further. In this, we're actually playing as androids. In this world, almost all manual labor and everything has been transferred over to these robot people. They are now basically holding up the fabric of society, which leaves it kind of in a strange space. They can think, they can feel, they can talk, but why are they not people themselves? This is the question at the heart of this game. Each of the different people we play as has a different problem they must deal with, from a detective that investigates androids that have gone crazy and killed their owners, to a housekeeper who has to deal with an abusive father. Become Human really looks like it's trying to address some very heavy themes, and I really respect it for that. There's so many games that are afraid to go to the truly dark places of humanity, to try and show us that sometimes art needs to be hard. I have very high hopes for Detroit Become Human because it looks like it's actually going to push the envelope and make us think about gaming in a way we've never done it before. And for that reason, I'm more to give my pick as the most hyped game of 2018. Did your favorite game not make the list? Got an idea for a future top 10? Leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. I feel like some people might be upset that I didn't actually put Pokemon or Metroid on this list, but it's just the fact that we don't have any gameplay for them yet. Those might not even come out this year, so right now they're not quite on the list. Still, both of those I'm sure are going to be awesome. Alright, now I'm going to go play a little bit of my Yoshi DS, that way I can just kind of chill. Have a good one. Oh god, I stepped on a light. Oh, hey. I was just playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto on my Darth Vader PSP. Are you curious what I'm going to come out with next? Well, if you click this button, you'll be subscribed to be the first to know. Also, if you click over here and here, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. I promise, it was super good. Or it was really bad and I'm sure you can just make fun of me in the comments. Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching.